So it was like, oh, if a nigga want to take me out, he got to pay for my babysitter. Why should my baby daddy and me got to pay for my babysitter when you the one that want to take me out?
I'm not going to ask a to be, oh, pay for my babysitter. I'm expecting you to know to do that for me.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl Neek, and you're tuned in to Neek at Night. And tonight we're going to be talking about Abba and Preach's video titled Men Should Pay for Their Date's Babysitter. Now, I posted a comment under this video and Abba and Preach pinned it to the top, and we had a lot of angry men all riled up, and we're going to get to it in this video. Now, before we get to that, I want to let you guys know, if this is your first time watching my video, we are the Night Owls over here. It's Neek at Night, and we are the Night Owls. I also want to let you guys know that right now will be a good time to hit the subscribe button. Also hit the like button or dislike button, because I'm sure this will bring the angry mob of, Kevin Sam, you can hit the dislike button too. It's okay. Lastly, I want to let you guys know that what I am wearing comes from my website. Head on over to my website for goodies like this at neekatnight.com. And you can find several nighttime goodies, you know what I'm saying, to set the mood for yourself, set the mood for your man, or, whatever you want to do. I also have male pajamas as well, and matching couples pajamas if y'all get down like that. Anyways, let's get into this video and talk about whether or not, men should pay for their dates. Babysitter.
So it was like, oh, if a nigga want to take me out, he got to pay for my babysitter. Why should my baby daddy and me got to pay for my babysitter when you the one that want to take me out?
I'm not going to ask a to be, oh, pay for my babysitter. I'm expecting you to know to do that for me. Like, if I'm like, oh, like, I would go out with you, but I can't find a sitter, it's up to you to be like, yo, I really want to take this girl out. I'm about to pay for her babysitter. Mm-hmm. So if I notice that you didn't think to do something like that, or you ain't trying to, like, work around that in whichever way, that I'm not messing with you. But I'm, like, and I'm telling you, real, women who live this lifestyle, they're not saying it, they're expecting it. And then they weed you out accordingly. Okay. And that's the way it should be done.
Well, I'll weed you out accordingly too, because if you got kids, I ain't fucking with you.
I got a question. Who raised y'all? Most women actually, because they're single mothers, they have a certain way of thinking about men, so they don't want to rely on men. Most women are not like that.
Okay. So, Abba and Preach's reaction was, this is absolutely absurd. Oh my God, who raised you? Why would a woman think like this? It's your child, your responsibility, etc., etc., etc. I'm going to let them go a little bit further before I tell you guys my opinion about it. Okay?
Pretty sure that most women are not like that. But there's that little percentage of,
There was one girl who said, I expect it, but I would never ask for it.
You guys already know this about me. I would never ask for the money or ask a man to pay for my children. I would never ask because I'm just way too prideful. I would never ask for anything.
Why wouldn't you ask for it? Because I got too much pride. Oh, you're too proud to ask for something that you feel you deserve? Maybe it's because you feel shame because you recognize it's a shameful thing to ask for. Do you guys have no shame?
No. No,
you brought a child into this.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I have no shame. Okay, we are grown. Well, I'm grown. I don't know how old Abba and Preach are. I'm sure that they are grown as well. I'm not saying that they're not grown, but I'm saying that me as a grown woman, whatever it is that I feel, think, or need out of a partner, I'm going to articulate that what I need out of a partner. Also, when you're dealing with a woman who has children, or if you're dealing with a man who has children, you have to understand that they come as a package deal. Like, that's on period poop. Now, you have all these people who are suddenly, Kevin Samuel minions, and they are like the Kevin Samuel militia, where they have this idea that, oh my God, men are not dating women with children, and that's just not happening. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, boo-boo. They are dating women with children. Like, especially if you are 30 and older, the chances of you meeting somebody that is your same age, they most likely probably at that point have children. also, they keep coming up with this notion that, you know, these high value men don't have children and they're only dating women who don't have children. Like, people are acting like these men are not men who have children themselves, which always baffles me when this having children conversation comes up. Like, would it be better to have a person with no package, with no, you know, attachments versus a person with attachments? But let's be honest. Even in the whole Kevin Samuels case where he's calling himself a high value man, he has gone through several marriages and have several children. And that's the case. Like, a lot of men, once they are established money-wise enough to call themselves high value and have their stuff together, they're a little bit in the older scale, unless they're like an NBA or a ball player or something like that. But more than likely, once you're this high valued man, it's because you're older, you've experienced life, you've gone through school, you moved up in rank in your career, and by that time, you've probably already had children as well. Now, I'm not going to act like, you know, would it be preferable to have a person who doesn't have a child versus a person who does have a child? I'm not going to act like that's not maybe preferable, but oftentimes men with children date other people who also have children because they understand the dynamic of being a parent and the sacrifices that you have to make and things like that. Now, would it be preferable to have a mate that doesn't have a child? Yeah, that's possibly preferable, but we're not going to act like men are not dating women who have children. That's number one. And we're going to keep having this conversation like these men don't have children too. Like, that's number one. Now, as far as the argument of should a man pay for their woman's date, now let's get into that.
World, you go on a first date and you expect them to pay potentially for the food of the child and the babysitter. It's just an indication of like how a lot of women want to live life on easy mode. People just be hollering at people in DMs like, you trying to buy me a Gucci bag? You trying to spend money on me, Poppy? Do you guys have no shame? Do you have no shame? It's a stranger. And then you got other people on the other end like, well, if you're trying to date a single mom, you get to be, bitch, it's the first date. Yeah, if you're trying to date me, you got to meet my parents right away. What? Why is your dad sitting beside you at this table right now? That's the same logic. Yeah, well, if you're trying to, then you need to buy that dad new crutches because that nigga old and that's part of the family package. But it's just a Happy Meal. It's not about that. It's not about $5. It's not about
Single women are a package, period. But y'all know he is going a bit extreme. Like, to be saying buy my dad's stuff, buy my this person's stuff, like, that's a bit extreme. But it's going off of a previous video that they also did where a woman, she wanted and she expected a guy to pay for her child's McDonald's on the first date. Now, that I don't agree with because I don't even let men meet my child. But we'll get into that in a little bit.
It's the principle. Yeah. It's your child. How do you show up on a date? Your hair done, your looks all done, but your kid is not fed. In my head, I'm like, your priorities are trash. Why don't you just cancel the date and take care of your important stuff, which is your child being fed, rather than relying on somebody that you haven't met yet. It's crazy. It's like, I guess some bras just live on easy mode so hard that they don't even have to put their best foot forward. They just take a dookie in their hand and they throw it on the table like the first step. That's what they doing.
Now, I will also agree with him on that point. We have this mentality where people are preaching to black women that they don't have to have nothing going for themselves, absolutely nothing going for themselves, and they deserve to be swept off their feet because other cultures allow that to happen. Even though these other cultures that happens in, the men are super controlling, super abusive and things like that. People are teaching women that they have to have nothing going for themselves, absolutely nothing, and then jump out the window and just get saved by a man who's been working very hard for his career, and she deserves everything that he's worked for. They don't teach that woman how to help build wealth to this man that they say that they deserve. They don't talk about how they can match and bring more value to that relationship. It's being taught nowadays that women should just simply exist and deserve everything. And I don't think that that's a good message. I feel like you should work on yourself. And if you get somebody along the way that, you know, is a level up, then that's good. But you should also be working on yourself as well. Stop preaching that women is okay to just be bums and that's it and have nothing going for themselves. I have something going for myself, so my standards and what I require and what I expect is different. But the mentality that these women have nothing going for themselves, don't have a job, ain't working on themselves at all, and deserve everything, I don't agree with that. So I also agree with Abba and Preach on that part. But let's get down to this a little more. Now, in this video, I'm not sure if it's still pinned to the top now, but this comment was pinned to the top, and I was basically having an unpopular opinion to the argument. Before I made my comment, there was already about like 2,000 comments on this video, and once I seen it, a lot of people were like, oh my God, that's absurd way of thinking, that's crazy way of thinking, like blah, 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 blah. I felt like, well, there are instances where I feel like a man should pay for the sitter, so in my comment, I said, unpopular opinion, which I'm sure broke men will try and argue below, but here are my thoughts. I don't agree with the girl wanting the guy to pay for her kids' McDonald's, because he was referencing the girl also in the video who in a prior video they reacted to, and she expected a guy on the first date to pay for her kids' McDonald's. Now me, I'm not, like, guys can't meet my child, can't see my child. Like, it's guys who I've known for years who's never met my child. I don't let people meet my child, period. Unless I really, like, trust you and know you. So I don't agree with a girl having her date run her to McDonald's with her child and things like that. Like, if I absolutely cannot arrange my child to go somewhere, like, no, like I don't let niggas around my child that I don't really trust like that. Like, that's me. So I said, I don't agree with the girl wanting the guy to pay for her kids' McDonald's, but the babysitter thing is coming from men who, when you tell them you don't have a babysitter, and they push and trying to have a date before you are free. In those cases, I think he should pay. I have gotten that several times. I tell men I'm free on the weekends when my kid is with her dad, and they push and want a date sooner. I'm not paying for a babysitter when I could wait for the weekend. If you can't wait for the weekend, then pay for a sitter. So under this thread, there was a lot of disgruntled Kevin Samuel type minions under there who, many of these guys, I have a lot of questions. But anyways, so there was a lot of disgruntled guys under the thread. And then there were a lot of people who also felt like what I said was reasonable. And then there were people who felt like, well, you shouldn't be dating a guy who's pushy anyways. And I didn't mean pushy in the sense of, maybe because I wrote it like that. I didn't mean it like, oh, they're just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. What I mean is sometimes you will meet somebody and you guys have a scheduling conflict and they're truly interested in you. And, the scheduling conflict, because you may be working during the weekday, they may be working during the weekend. If you want me to binge from when I'm not free of having my child, then I feel like in that case, you definitely should pay for the sitter. Now, where I live also may be a factor. I live in California, and where I live in California, I am an hour away from Los Angeles. So a lot of the guys who I come in contact with, I meet them in LA. And a lot of the people in LA, like some people are from here, some people are not from here, and I was, at one point in time a part, in the industry. So I would meet like industry guys and things like that. And sometimes they'll be like, flying into LA often, but maybe not permanently reside here, or people who are like bi-coastal and things like that. So sometimes they'll only be in town for, these set amount of days. And so those set amount of days maybe perhaps were days that I have my child. And they're like, listen, I only can, see you on these days or whatever. Can we work something out? And those are days that I'm not free. Now me, if you want to see me, then I feel like you should pay for the sitter if you want me to go outside of when I have an available sitter. My daughter goes to her father on the weekends. So if you want me to go outside of that, I feel like you should pay for the sitter. That's just how I feel. We'll also be clear that I am not asking every guy that I talk to pay for the sitter. Like, that's not even something that is like, okay, that's not a frequent thing. But I'm just saying I do feel as though if a guy wants to make a girl go outside of when she's available, when she has a definite availability, then I feel like, yeah, that guy should be offering to pay. there is times where my mom will, you know, have my child or things like that. But if I'm going out of my way to make arrangements to accommodate your schedule, I feel like there should also be a work around on your end if you're interested. Not saying that that's what you have to do, because if that's not something that you want to do or feel comfortable doing, then don't do it. And we just won't see each other. And it's not, you know, it's not something that, you know, it is what it is. Also, I've also run into situations with men who have the similar arrangement that I have with my child's father. So they get their child on the weekend and they have their kids on the weekend, and I have my child during the weekday. So therefore that creates a scheduling conflict. So when I have my child, they are free. And when they have their child, I am free. So it becomes a conflict, and then them wanting to then come into the time where I, you know, might have my child, because they go a whole week without their child. So it's like, you know, I have my child more often than them, you know? So also, me being a YouTuber, I can make my schedule at any time that I want. Like if I want to film a video right now, I can film a video right now. If I want to film a video hours from now, like I have a more flexible schedule, even though I'm still obviously busy because I do work on my content a lot. My schedule is more bendable sometimes. So therefore, you know, in having these conversations, you know, they want to flex and work into my schedule, but although my schedule is bendable work-wise, my schedule is not bendable baby-wise. So when it comes to me arranging for my child to be elsewhere, then my opinion, I feel like that is something that a guy should pay for if he is not available when I am free. It's not a requirement as far as like you gotta pay for my sitter. We can meet up on the weekend. And you know what I'm saying? When I have a sitter, I'm not going to pay for a sitter when I could wait on the weekend, if that makes sense. Now, I know that could possibly trigger some people, and it is what it is. People say, you know, oh, well, you know, you're going to be single. Well, I'm content with being single. And that's another thing. Like, people act like it is a bad thing to be single. Quite honestly, I feel like a lot of people rush into relationships that they should not be in for the sake of society making them feel like they got to have a piece of somebody. You know, you're perfectly fine waiting until and you're dating somebody who works with you and matches what you got going on. Like, that is perfectly fine. Also, back to the whole Kevin Samuels thing. Even though this wasn't a Kevin Samuels video, he really does have a lot of these guys, number one, thinking that they're high value when they're not. They have boring personalities. They are like super whack and lame and corny, but they sitting around here tooting their horn thinking that they so high value. Like, stop. Like, a lot of these guys thinking that they high value and they not. And also a lot of these guys thinking like, you know, that people are not dating single mothers. Like, a lot of these guys have kids themselves, so they're also dating people with kids because they understand more likely than not your situation with your child versus somebody who don't have a child, you know? Also, on top of that, I find like, you know, I don't know, like, you know, and with me saying that, I'm not saying that it isn't a notch down for a person to have a child, but I'm also saying that we're not going to act like dudes ain't dating women with children. And they're not getting in relationship with women with children. Like, stop. But that's all I had to say about that. That is my opinion. Every single date that I go on, no, I don't make them pay for my babysitter if we kind of work through certain schedules. But in certain situations where it's like, you know, they insist, and it's something like that where it's like, I got to go out of my way to make certain arrangements, then yeah, you should compensate the sitter in that regard. That's just me. That's how I feel. That's on period. That's that on that. I ain't gonna argue back and forth with none of you dusties in the comments. I don't care if you would date me or not, because that's another thing that guys, like, if you say something that they don't agree with, they try to throw an insult like, oh, I wouldn't date you. Like, I wouldn't date you either, probably. I don't care if you would date me or not. Like, there's plenty of men who want to date me, so you not wanting to date me, I could care less. Like, carry on. And one more thing that I wanted to point out. When I said the broke men were going to argue about it, people insinuated that I thought that when I said that broke men in the comments were going to argue about it, people insinuated that I was referring to the men that I deal with. I said the people who will try and argue below, not the men that I deal with. I wasn't talking about the men that I deal with. I was talking about the people who would try to argue below. I don't understand how y'all could mix up me saying the people who would try to argue below with me insinuating or saying that the men that I deal with were the broke men. I don't know. But, I mean, I guess that's why y'all be needing people like Kevin Samuels to think for y'all, because y'all can't grasp certain concepts or something. I don't know. But, you know, that's just that on that. I'll see y'all on the next video. If you guys have not visited my website by now, definitely go to my website at www.neekatnight.com, spelled exactly like my channel. I have some goodies, like I said, for men and women to enjoy, and you might like something there, you know. Also, if you have not hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button right now, and also hit the like button and share. And I'm gonna see you at the door in the comments if you got a problem, but just know I'm not arguing with your ass. Okay, as long as we got that understood, we good. Now, peace. Because they have now unpinned this comment, it will be hard to find it because they have thousands and thousands of comments. So I'll just play what some of the responses were. Abba and Preach responded first, and they somewhat agreed with me. And then there were people who started to agree with me. And then the Kevin Samuels militia brigade became, and they came to attack, honey. So pause and read if you want to, but this is the end of the video, but I'll just play this.